This is Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski. Here now, Tony Brueski.
Let's start with a detail that didn't make national headlines, but maybe should have. When investigators searched the vehicle Bryan Kohberger had access to following the Idaho murders, they opened the glove box and found something deeply unsettling. For a car that had been disassembled, as they described it, cleaned, top to bottom, bleach, nothing in there. No fibers, no blood, nothing. But what the fool forgot is that, maybe you shouldn't have ID cards of other people in your glove box. It's a little weird, Bryan. I know you have no sort of gauge on what weird is, but humans on this planet that interact with people on productive levels, we don't keep other people's ID cards in our glove boxes. Just saying. And if you do and you think it's normal, well, I got some news for you. So who were the ID cards from? Well, because they weren't necessarily from the victims of the Idaho 4 that he took out, there were other people's, because I guess that makes it okay in the twisted mind of Bryan Kohberger. I don't know that twisted is the quite right word. I'm going to go more with infantile, because that's really kind of what it seems like. There's not a lot of two thoughts in process here, unless he's obsessed with it. So other women on these ID cards, women who, as far as anyone knows, are still alive. Women who reportedly didn't even know those ID cards are missing. Well, I'm sure they knew they were missing. They just didn't know where they went. And they probably didn't suspect Bryan Kohberger of taking them. They weren't random items tucked away in a junk drawer. They were hidden, stored, preserved. A curated collection, it seems. Like relics from people he'd once known. And just like that, a new dimension of the story opened up. So, who were these women? According to recently unsealed investigative files, one of them was a former classmate from his time at DeSales University in Pennsylvania. The other may have crossed paths with him at Washington State University, where he was working on a criminology PhD. No reports of harm, no known threats, just a link they never realized existed. Oh, that's where the ID cards are. Oh, I left it at the bar, or I left it at the Starbucks, I left it at the whatever. You don't want to hear, oh, they found them in Bryan Kohberger's glove box. That's like insta-trauma right there. Huh? Excuse me while I call my therapist and schedule sessions every day for the foreseeable future. It's unclear how he got the IDs. That's the chilling part. There's no indication they were stolen in a way anyone noticed. No reports of lost wallets, no forced entries, just something missing. And never missed or reported missing. I mean, think of it. If you lose your ID, do you report it missing to the police? Do you do any? I mean, it's pretty much, we call around to where it might have been. They don't have it. Well, I better go to the DMV. Check the box. Missing, lost, stolen, you don't know. And then that's out there and you get a new one. That's all. Doesn't require a police investigation, nor should it. It leaves us with a question most people don't want to ask. Why would someone keep these? As mementos, as one would keep a Hallmark keepsake ornament of a Star Trek figurine. Or a Ghostbuster, or a Batman car, or a leg lamp. I'm trying to think of all the Hallmark things that are in my mind. Instead, Bryan's keeping ID cards. Can you imagine if he put them on a Christmas tree? Had a few more years to do this? He could fill one up. Because that's the path he was on. In true crime psychology, we talk about trophies, not in the sensationalized way, but in the cold, calculated way some perpetrators mark their control. Some take locks of hairs, others keep jewelry. Sometimes it's a piece of clothing. In Kohberger's case, ID cards. And they're uniquely personal. They carry a name, a photo, a birth date, an identity. It's like taking a snapshot of someone's autonomy and filing it away for later. And let's not forget the timeline. These ID cards weren't collected after the murders. They were already in his possession, which means this behavior predated the killings. It wasn't reactive. It was part of a longer arc. By the time Kohberger allegedly targeted the King Roadhouse in Moscow, he had already shown patterns of silent possession, patterns of stalking behavior, and now we know he wasn't just watching. He was keeping. So was this about fantasy, about control, about building a private world where he could revisit these identities without their knowledge? Well, that's the implication, and it fits with the profile we've been seeing unfolding. Kohberger is the quiet observer, the methodical collector, and the man who watched more than he spoke. There's no indication he ever harmed the women whose IDs he kept, but in some ways, that might be even more unnerving, because it suggests that physical violence wasn't necessary for him to feel a sense of ownership, a sense of bringing harm onto others. Taking the ID was enough. And if you're asking why no one caught this sooner, join the club. The IDs were discovered during the post-arrest search, tucked into the glove box like receipts from a road trip. Not part of any original warrant, not what investigators were even looking for. But once they were found, they raised all the right questions. And none of the answers feel good. Now layer that with everything else we've learned. The police scanner searches hours before the murders, the disturbing Tinder chats asking women about the worst way to die, the complaints from students at Washington State who said Kohberger was fixated on women and often made them uncomfortable. The wounds seen on his hands and face before the murders that went unexplained. And now this, a private archive of identities hidden in plain sight. What we're seeing is a mosaic. A man slowly escalating from discomfort to dominance, from watching to collecting, from fantasizing to acting. And what ties it all together is control. Not just control over the situation, but over people. Because he's never had any. Because nobody's ever taken him seriously. Because he's an idiot. Over their names, their data, their images. Was this a practice run, a ritual, a red flag waving from a glove box in a family car? No one knows how many IDs there may have been. Only 2 have been confirmed, but it begs the question, were there more? Were there others discarded, destroyed, or hidden elsewhere? Was this part of a routine he developed, or were these the only ones he ever took? Or is there a cache of them out in the woods with a knife, buried somewhere only Kohberger knows, as he was copying another serial killer? Because he's not unique. He's not special. He's a wannabe. Where he pieces of other serial killers' MOs together to make up what he thinks he is, which is pretty much still the loser that he's always been. It's worth pointing out again, these weren't connected to the Moscow victims, which suggests a chilling possibility. Kohberger may have had other targets, other fixations, other paths he might have taken if he had not been caught. And now that he has been, we're left sifting through the remnants of that hidden world. A glove box becomes a crime scene, an ID becomes a symbol, and a quiet man with no criminal history becomes something far more dangerous. So what do you do with something like that? Someone who leaves no overt warning, but builds a private library of his obsessions. Someone who collects names and faces like they belong to him. The truth is the IDs may never have made it into the courtroom. They weren't directly tied to the murder, so they may have never made it into the courtroom had a trial actually taken place. But they prove something else, a mindset, a pattern, a need to possess, to archive, to mark territory without ever announcing it. And you can bet there is still more evidence out there. In the end, maybe that's the most terrifying part of it all. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comment section of this video. Do you think there are more IDs out there? Or do you think this is just where he started? He'd been there only so long, only able to get so many by this point in time, or is this just one of many places? And why? If you literally are going to the length of disassembling your car, you left IDs in it of other people? Sloppy. Very sloppy, Bryan. Pathetic, really. Just like you left a knife sheath at the scene. You genius killer, you. I continue to wait for the day that I hear the story that the prisoners have had you for lunch, which I believe is coming not that far from now. Once you leave that little cell you're held in, Bryan, a whole world awaits you. A world of broomsticks and men with uncontrolled rage. And sexual desires. Oh, yes. It's going to be a fun future for you, Bryan. Don't worry, it won't last long. You'll be taken out soon enough. In somebody's canteen, it's going to be filled for life. Not from me, but I think from the collective group of citizens out there who all believe this man should be taken off the planet. I'm not encouraging it. I'm not saying go do it. I'm just saying if it happens, it happens, and there's a lot of us that are going to be viscerally excited the next day. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Search Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski to find us there or wherever you get podcasts. Until next time, my name is Tony Brueski, and we will talk again. Real.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Brueski and the Hidden Killers podcast.